relationship. The greatest thing that you can do in terms of trying to shift behavior in your home with your child is really to focus on the relationship. That the best way that you can affect your child's life and you can address behavior is really by addressing the relationship. Making a shift in the relationship will completely change your child's behavior. When we look at the relationship with our children, many of us have very different relationships with children. Some parents have a very disciplinary approach, so the children have a certain attachment to parents. Others, the parents don't have any boundaries. I'm going to both extremes. Have no boundaries, so now the child is very friendly with the parent and sometimes to the point of disrespect. So there's really a whole range in between that in terms of the relationship that you have with your children. What I want us to really realize is that when we're doing this intentional parenting is really to realize, how do I show up in my child's life and what relationship do I have with my child? So if we want to explore the relationship that we currently have with our children, you want to look at what is a meaningful relationship to you. What does that mean to you? What is your definition of a meaningful relationship? So to most people, a meaningful relationship is spending time, feeling loved, showing presence, making a person really feel heard, and really loving them unconditionally. And that's usually the key, right? A child really wants to just be loved unconditionally. And that's the greatest gift that you can give your child, is that unconditional love, and make them understand that. Because sometimes we don't realize that, especially when we try to parent through discipline, children start thinking about it as conditional. So that's where we really want to make a shift, because that's usually the area where things go a little bit gray and it's a little bit harder to decipher how to be a parent, a conscious parent, but at the same time maintain this discipline. What children really want is this, love, to be loved unconditionally. And sometimes it's hard for them to perceive it because they see a parent trying to, let's say, discipline them, and then they're perceiving it as conditional. And for the parent too, sometimes it's difficult for them to juggle, how do I, maintain order and discipline in my home, but at the same time that my child wouldn't interpret it as being conditional. Okay, so that's usually where the big bulk of the difficulty comes and where the challenges come, and we will work on it together so that we can find strategies where we still maintain this discipline for the child, where the child learns the self-discipline, but at the same time the child still feels the unconditional love, even if we're redirecting behavior, because that's really our main goal. The main goal of parenting is that a child will eventually self-parent, and that a child will be motivated themselves to do the right thing. Intentional parenting is that you show up in the relationship with your child not in mind as a disciplinary, but more about you becoming a partner in your child's journey, in their life journey, versus you becoming this police that is always overseeing every single one of their behaviors and helping them making judgments from right and wrong. That's not what parenting is about. There's so much more to parenting than that, and we don't want to narrow it down only to having to, always look at our children and see if they're doing things right or not, or if we're on schedule or not on schedule. That's not what parenting is about. Parenting is so much more than that. It's such a greater picture than that. You are a partner in your child's life journey, and that's something really huge, and you want to approach your parenting like that. So when you want to shift something in terms of a child's behavior, imagine, let's say, if your spouse would do something that you don't like, you don't punish them and tell them to go to their rooms, right? You work on it, you compromise, you talk about it. So the same approach should be used with children. It's a relationship as well. We don't have to look at it as you're the one in power giving out these laws that they have to follow through with, right? It's really a joint effort, and as a family, you come up with rules together. Obviously, you are the parent. It doesn't mean that the child has to drive the bus, not at all. that would be unconscious of us to do that. But it's really about coming together as a family and creating rules together and a relationship together and sharing moments and really joining in each other's lives, joining in your child's life through play, through activity, through really enjoying things through their eyes as well.